I'm Dr. Quincy Hawley.
And I'm Renee Machel.
And this is Vet Candy Life.
This show is brought to you by Elanco Animal Health, makers of Sonovi G4 Joint Health Soft Chews.
So I am very excited about today's topic, which is finding your dream veterinary job.
Okay.
And you know me, I'm all about the dreams. I'm all about living the ideal, if you will. So I'm excited about this. How about you?
I am excited about it because my veterinary career has taken a completely different path than I would have ever thought of as a wee little lady back in the day. So I'm really excited because I want to share with people, you know, different options nowadays.
Right. And you know me, I've stood face to face with snakes in Costa Rica, world-class fighting bulls in Nicaragua. And what else have I done? Oh, and I hung out with sloths and howler monkeys in Costa Rica. And
here's fun fact I know.
Okay.
You used to be agricultural.
Food animal in vet school. That's right. So I was a food animal focused veterinary student. And then when I graduated from veterinary school, I went to work for a small animal general practice. Yeah. So it was a big switch, but a good switch.
What made you switch?
So I actually did this huge dairy externship up north. Over about 10,000 dairy cattle there. And they kept waking us up in the middle of the night to do C-sections in the freezing cold. And I was like, do I want to do this for a living? And I decided to switch it up a little bit. I didn't want to be on call.
Okay.
Yeah.
Cool.
So, and I think that's a huge part of choosing your ideal veterinary career is the introspection, the self-awareness, like knowing what you like, knowing what you don't like, you know?
Here's what I'm hearing also is that pivot.
Okay.
Because not everyone, I feel like, would give themselves permission to pivot. They would say, oh, I've invested all of this focus into this discipline. How could I possibly even fathom or explain this to my parents?
Yep.
You know?
And there was a little bit of self-shame there, like I'm a sellout for switching from food animal to small animal. Right? But I mean, it fit for my life at that time, so I made that move. Cool. And I'd like to encourage all of our viewers out there, if you're thinking about making a career switch or career move or a pivot, as you mentioned, then we want to empower you in this episode to be able to do that and to feel good about it.
Yeah, give yourself permission. Absolutely, give yourself permission. I think that's beyond the most important factor, because you could have thought that and then continue down that pathway and just found yourself to be miserable, right? If you didn't actually make the change.
Right. And the key thing here is that this is your life. It's your veterinary career. And so if you don't grab your career by the horn, so to speak, you could end up in a situation where you're doing something in veterinary medicine that you don't, maybe you used to enjoy it, right? Maybe you never enjoyed it, but maybe you think that's the only option there.
For you.
And so maybe let's talk about some of the different career options. We don't have to get into detail.
Okay.
But let's talk about some of the different things that people can do.
Sure.
And some of the non-conventional ones too, like what we're doing.
Yeah, like entrepreneurship, kind of paving our own way a little bit.
For sure.
And yeah, absolutely. So with that said, I think, you know, we have classic small animal practice.
Yep, and we're both familiar with that. That's where we met.
Right, you've got, you know, large animal. You have...
And large animal being, well, it can be food or it can be equine, right? So you can do equine, you can do like food animal, the cows would be large animal, but part of that,
And then What else? Isn't there another like sector of large animal, like where Dr. Alan Kennedy works in?
So Dr. Kennedy, he does like small ruminants and camelids, which are still considered like food and fiber type things, you know. But that would be considered food animal. And you have lab animal veterinarians, like ones who develop the lipstick that you're wearing, probably. Like the lipstick was probably tested on an animal at some point. And I think that's a really huge part of this discussion is knowing that you have options.
Right. And we worked with a vet student who, he too is an entrepreneur, and his passion is in agriculture and in goats.
Okay, yep.
And so he has, branched off into that area.
Yep.
And now he has just ideas after ideas, and creating, a focus for the professionals in the industry in that area.
Yep.
I mean, there's lots of different options.
Right.
Can you think of any others, like just off the top of your head?
Regulatory medicine. So you can work for the USDA, and they have veterinarians to look after things like the foreign animal diseases, so like avian influenza or the bird flu.
Infectious disease.
Right, that's right. Bovine spongiform encephalopathy or mad cow disease, things like that. So they've got a branch that does that. They also have a food safety inspection services branch that is inspecting the food that we eat on a day-to-day basis too.
Pharmaceuticals. The companies, nutraceuticals or pharmaceuticals, they have veterinarians on staff that can help you.
Yeah. If there's a pre-veterinary student watching this right now, I have like a really cool piece of advice. So for me, when I first got started, I started out in a small animal hospital, okay? And then I got this really cool internship with the USDA, and that showed me a lot of different options of non-traditional things that people could do in the veterinary or animal health fields. But the third internship that I had was with Elanco Animal Health, and I was a sales rep for their dairy business unit. And that was something that was completely foreign to me. I didn't even know that type of role existed. And so if you're a pre-veterinary student, go out there, look to see what the companies offer, look to see what the government offers, look to see what private hospitals offer and things like that.
Companies.
Yeah, craft.
Yeah.
All types of things.
With that, interviews are a part of that.
Ooh. Yeah,
so
you hit a good spot there. Yeah.
Do you have any advice for nailing that first interview, whether it be an internship, a job interview, having those interviews when you're either still in school or when you're fresh out of school? Right, especially like when you pivoted, I mean.
I can answer that with a story. So back when I was in undergrad, I had never had an interview before, like an actual formal interview with the company.
Yeah.
And I remember that Elanco came to interview, and there was a lady, her name was Sharmika Duerson. I owe her my life. I owe her my veterinary career, if you will, because she said, we're doing mock interviews. I went to that mock interview, she asked me questions, and I had no idea what I was doing. I completely bombed it, and she was like, we have some work to do. She wanted to help us. Anyway, she taught me the STAR format of interviewing: situation, task, action, result. So if you're going to answer an interview question, you tell them about the situation, what was the task, what was the action that you took, and then what was the result behind those three things. I applied that for the rest of my career, and I had just been spot on with most of my interviews. And just having that simple framework, that formula, that structure made all the difference in the world. So what I would say is to do some mock interviews if you can. To answer your question, do mock interviews. And I know that a lot of the different strategies are changing these days, like the interview types change. That was, for like situational or something like that. But.
Next, we're going to go over to makeup artist Imogene Carr, who's going to show you how to create a professional look for your next interview.
Hi, my name is Imogene, and today I'm going to be showing you guys how you can learn some super simple makeup tips and tricks that anybody can do. Enjoy! And there you go. I hope you've enjoyed today. If you would like any more tips and tricks, or if you would like some information on any of the products that I've used today, please feel free to head over to Facebook and follow me at ICY Academy. I'll see you there. Bye.
That's awesome. So you're like a unicorn in the veterinary profession because there's not a lot of males.
Right.
And
Black males.
Right.
Yep.
So, and we got to hear from another unicorn. Her hair is awesome. Did you like it?
It was cool.
What if your hair was like that? What if my hair was like that? My hair is really long.
I think the people would be surprised.
Fun.
Yes, but that was awesome.
Mm-hmm. Yes, thank you.
Yeah.
One secret I have is that do some research before that interview on, how to interview your employer. Because we get really wrapped up in ourselves.
Yep.
Our egos take the wheel.
Yeah.
And we forget completely to even recognize, evaluate, or even sort of, can you even remember what the inside of that clinic looked like when you left?
Right.
Because we're looking for the dream career, we're looking for the dream location, and sometimes that location might change if you move, if your phase of your life, changes. And it's really important because you're going to be working with these people day in and day out, oftentimes. So I think it's really important to, who are you interviewing with? What is the facility like? Do you feel good in your environment? I've taken interviews where the lighting was really poor, and that bothers me. I've actually declined jobs because the lighting was really poor.
Oh, wow.
And it changed.
You're tough.
It changes.
Like, how are we working together? You know what I'm saying?
Because you have good lighting. I don't know.
Okay, I get it. All right, true.
So, I think that it's important to understand in what environment you thrive in. Do you like windows? Do you not like windows in the facility that you're working with? Is there an ability to get outside? Is there, a park nearby? Things like that. So, looking at those, because you are going to spend a ton of time at these places. And so if you are miserable in your environment, if you're miserable with, one thing, I've worked in places where the kennels and the phones were all in the treatment area. And that was very distracting for me. There was no separation for, some kennels, not even just ill animals, but just all kennels, and then all phones would ring. I worked at one clinic, so the phones would ring in the treatment area after, say, 3 rings, meaning someone else wasn't able to get that phone, and so then we would grab it.
Okay.
And then I've worked with some clinics that have just on that first ring, it rings throughout the entire clinic, and it is very distracting to me.
Right.
So, just look for little, quirks and stuff like that, and then researching before. If you're not a strong interviewer, I think researching what questions can I expect, what questions should I ask, come prepared, and here's another really favorite thing that I do. I do a power pose.
Okay.
So it's
I've heard about that.
yes.
I've heard about power posing. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. It's like a superhero pose. You hold it for 2 minutes and it increases your confidence. And so I do this before, say, a job interview, or if I have to lead a meeting, you kind of puff out your chest, you stand in the mirror, hands on the hips, and you do that power pose, and it changes your state.
Yep. I learned about power posing at a veterinary leadership conference, but I want to go back to what you said about interviewing the interviewer.
Yeah.
Right? Because some of these jobs could be competitive. If it's a really nice place to work, maybe there are a lot of people who want to work there. By interviewing the interviewer, you can actually put yourself a little bit ahead. It shows preparedness. It shows, that you're proactive to go out and to want to know about the organization, to want to know about the interviewer.
Right.
Him or herself, right?
Right. What's their mission statement? Do they align with your beliefs?
Right, absolutely. And along the same lines, like if it's a really competitive job, another thing that we learned about in this book right here, Think and Grow Rich, is that persistence.
Ooh.
I've had so many pre-veterinary students tell me whether they're applying to veterinary school or they're looking for a job, and they just can't get one. I'm just like, what do you mean? What are you talking about? They're like, I applied to a bunch of different hospitals. I said, how many times did you apply? Like, how many times did you call? How many times did you go by there? And they're like, well, like one time. I'm like, well, that's why you didn't get it.
Forgot.
You've got to do it 5 times, 6 times. And if you really want to work there, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11 times to really show them that you mean business.
Yeah.
Right?
Is it Les Brown that tells his story about how he went back time after time after time?
Yeah, and they were like, don't come back here.
Yep, and he
went
kept coming back.
anyway.
He kept coming back, and eventually he got the job.
He got
and
the
eventually
opportunity. Yeah, that's right.
I mean, he grew up in the. It was fantastic.
Yeah.
It's a really great story. If you've never heard Les Brown, he's a motivational speaker, and he has a
Right.
fantastic story, very empowering story for anyone.
Yeah, very empowering. And
But
sometimes when
that
people ask me
persistence.
things like, can they come volunteer or come work or do this or that, I might say no or not
Initially.
call them back initially to see if they're going to follow up. So always follow up, especially if it's a high quality job, because sometimes they're testing you to see what your resilience is, right?
Okay, tests,
Yeah,
more
yeah,
tests,
yeah.
just what we wanted, right?
Hey, but you have to do it.
Yeah.
You got to separate the men from the boys, the dogs from the cats, the Great Danes from the poodles,
Okay.
miniature poodles.
That's an
The
interesting
toy
analogy.
poodles. Yeah.
But,
I guess.
okay.
Well, yeah.
Sure, we'll roll with it. Why not?
Yeah, we'll go with that. We'll go with that. Okay, so what else? But I want to
Okay.
talk about one more thing, and that is something that we talked about before, which is the introspection, the vision, the purpose aspects of your dream career.
Okay.
You've got to spend some time, in my opinion, thinking
Yeah.
about what it is
That you
that
want.
would mean something to you,
Yeah.
right? And for me, or for some people, maybe they find that being in small animal practice as an associate veterinarian isn't what they want for the rest of their entire lives. And I think my current job, my current role as a practicing veterinarian right now is proof of that. So there's a relief company that I work for right now. And when I was at my other job that I didn't really like so much anymore, I went home, I got a sheet of paper, and I wrote down, I don't want to be in this job anymore a year from now. And I wrote out the type of job that I would like to have a year from then. And it's so funny how things work when you have that clarity, your reticular activating system, your bias, whatever it happens to be, will help you to find that opportunity.
Yeah.
But you have to be clear on what it is that you want. And a lot of people just aren't.
You're right. We take the first job that we get. You know, we apply to a job, you take the first job that you get, and you kind of just dig the rut. You know, you just dig your feet in, you try to make a life from there, you know, and you don't
Right.
stop to evaluate it.
Right.
And sometimes we keep a job that's like past its season. You know, so I grew up, you know, I spent 11 years in my first clinic, which I absolutely loved. You know, they raised me and mentored me. But, you know, I probably, and I probably kind of outgrew
Right.
the environment at some point, whether it was through, you know, my capabilities or just my being there. You know, it was sort of sheltered. You know, I was at one place 11 years, so I kind of outgrew it.
Right.
And so, as bittersweet as it was, and I still talk to my family there, it was a time that it's like a caterpillar.
Right.
You know, so looking to different places, and you know, I think that's really important to just understand what it is that you need for that season of your life.
Hi, I'm Dr. Shetty, the founder of Vet Tales, and this is my boat shaft, which doubles not only as my home, but also as a mobile veterinary clinic. It was my dream when I was a little girl to become a veterinarian. I always knew I wanted to do it since I was 5 years old. And I was really inspired by natural explorers and conservationists like David Attenborough and Jane Goodall to, I guess, explore the world and see all the species that the world has to offer us. For the last 3 years, I've been sailing from Panama, where I bought the boat, to Mexico, where we are currently doing a major refit so that we can continue our mission in Mexico. I've been very lucky to work with a really wide variety of species. I was able to work with sloths and monkeys in Costa Rica. I've rescued sea turtles in many countries of Central America. And we've also been able to do a lot of spay and neuter and vaccination clinics for the cats and dogs of both Panama, Costa Rica, Nicaragua, Mexico, Honduras, and El Salvador. So it's been quite a journey so far. We plan to continue our mission here in Mexico, heading north, providing free veterinary care to all the animals we encounter. Our focus is spay and neuter campaigns and working with local veterinarians to facilitate connections between the regional organizations that can help them improve animal welfare long after we've gone. In the town we're currently in, we've already started doing spay and neuter campaigns and connected the local veterinarian with a regional veterinarian, and they plan to continue doing spay and neuter campaigns every 3 months to make sure the animal population here is healthy and doesn't grow too much. I'm really, really passionate about the One Health policy, believing that animal health, the health of the environment, and human health is all very interconnected. And that's why it's very important for me to share my mission with everybody through my YouTube channel and through my social media to inspire others to not only help animals and the environment, but also each other. I feel very lucky to be living my dream and to be following my passions, not only exploring the world, but saving animals and hopefully inspiring other people to follow their dreams and achieve really big things to make the world a better place as well.
And now let's catch up with Dr. Philippa Pavia, veterinary surgeon, for some helpful advice.
Hi, I'm Philippa Pavia, a board-certified veterinary surgeon, and here are 3 things to know about osteoarthritis and joint care. First off, osteoarthritis is one of those frustrating things for surgeons because we can't fix it with a scalpel. But we can still do a lot to make a dog feel better. Number 1, treat the patient and not the radiographs. Sometimes an x-ray will look terrible, but the dog is doing pretty well. You want to treat that dog and not their x-rays. Sometimes it'll go the other way, and the dog will be very, very affected by something that just doesn't look that bad on a radiograph. 2, talk about weight loss. One of the hardest conversations that we have to have with clients day in, day out, but one of the only things that's proven to decrease the rate of progression of arthritis is keeping your dog or cat lean. Number 3, rehab and supplements. These non-surgical methods can make a world of difference in a dog or cat's quality of life. Don't forget the cats, because they can benefit from rehab and supplements too. What does rehab entail? Ultrasound, laser, swimming, underwater treadmill, acupuncture. These are all modalities that have been proven to help dogs and cats. Supplements. Traditional ones you know about, glucosamine, chondroitin, but also other supplements like curcumin, extract of green-lipped mussels, MSM. There's loads of supplements out there that could be of great benefit to your client. If you have any questions, you can put them in the comments below. If you want to get in touch with me, you can find me on LinkedIn. Thanks so much for having me today.
Let's assume that there's someone watching this right now.
Yeah.
And they're in a situation where they hate their job, but they don't see any way out. Maybe they feel stuck in the job that they're at, even though they don't like it. What advice would you give to that individual as far as moving forward and finding their dream veterinary career or dream veterinary job?
Mm-hmm. I think being open to possibilities is a big one. You know, if you're in vet school or if you're recently out of vet school, you may just be vicinity based. And I mean that to say, you know, whether it's the hometown that you're in or just the town that you are in school in, you know, you might just go radius wise. But what we're really looking for is a quality of life that is provided in another state, an income base that is provided in another state, a lower cost of living, again, being provided in another state. You know, Michigan versus North Carolina, the house that I have here, you know, the value in Michigan, it's just a completely different market. And so, you know, the cost of living is different, and then the pay rates are different. So taking into account those things, being open to
I love that.
Another state, another location, looking for those opportunities.
Mm-hmm. To something different.
Yeah,
and
I'm curious to learn, being open, curious to learn.
Right.
You know, what are those other options?
Right.
If you only see small animal practice, start to ask around, you know, and look for those opportunities to learn what other things are available to you. And like you said,
because
the clarity.
there's no shortage of opportunities
out
there.
Right.
If maybe you haven't found that opportunity yet. And one thing I'd like to add to that is it comes from Warren Buffett.
Yeah. And
Warren Buffett says, if money weren't an issue, what job would you choose? If you could have any job and money weren't an issue, like how much you're going to be making, things like that.
Yeah.
Because that'll really help you to find your true passion. Like, what would you do for free?
Right.
What would you do don't do it for free, but what would you do for free?
Yeah, absolutely.
All right.
I think you're right. Searching for your dream career can be hard, so this was a really enjoyable episode. I hope you guys got a lot out of it. We're going to share with you the Vet Candy Career Guide in the comments below, so take a look for that. You can check that PDF out, and of course, as always, if you have questions about that, put it in the comments.
That's right, and don't forget to subscribe to our YouTube channel and check us out on social at MyVetCandy. And this wraps up another episode of
Vet Candy Life.
There you go.